You also need to understand cross-project deployment with Cloud Build, so let's get into it. All right, cross-project deployments. You need to know this for the exam. Now, you might remember in a previous slide, we showed a CI/CD process with 4 separate environments: development, testing, staging, and production. However, it's important to note that you don't always need all 4. In some cases, and on the exam, you may encounter scenarios where only 2 environments are involved. If 2 environments are involved, typically it's dev and prod. So this is a simpler CI/CD setup. And to keep things clear and uncluttered, that's what I'm going to show on this slide too. In this setup, Cloud Build would be configured within the dev project. When there is a change to deploy, Cloud Build will first deploy to the dev environment. This deployment lets you test and verify the changes in dev. And once the tests pass and everything looks good, that same instance of Cloud Build then promotes the deployment to the prod environment, but it's still deploying from the dev project. So this is one approach to cross-project deployment, where Cloud Build in dev manages the full deployment process from dev to prod. Alternatively, you could have separate Cloud Build configurations in each project where each environment deploys independently. Each approach has its own set of advantages and disadvantages, which we won't go into detail about here, but it's useful to know that both approaches are possible, right? In summary, in this setup, you can use Cloud Build to automatically deploy code to an upper environment, like a production environment, and make sure that happens only after tests are passed. In this configuration, the Cloud Build service account in dev would need access to deploy in prod. An example scenario you might see on the exam is copying DAG files to a Cloud Composer environment in production after they pass tests in a development environment. Here's how this setup would typically look. First, we have 2 separate projects, a dev project and a prod project, like we talked about previously. In this flow, our Cloud Build process starts in the dev project, where it's responsible for managing the initial deployment and testing of the DAG files. In the dev project, Cloud Build takes our DAG files and copies them to a cloud storage bucket. From there, the dev Cloud Composer environment reads these files directly from this bucket. And this allows us to test the DAGs and ensure everything functions as expected. Only after the tests are successful, Cloud Build will initiate the next step. It copies these validated DAG files from the dev project's bucket over to the prod project, specifically to the prod cloud storage bucket. In the prod environment, Cloud Composer would similarly read the DAG files directly from this cloud storage bucket that is dedicated to Composer. And once the files are copied to the prod storage bucket, the prod Cloud Composer environment can immediately start using these DAG files. So this setup ensures that only tested and verified DAGs make it to production, maintaining the stability and reliability of your deployments. And Cloud Build in this case is helpful because it handles both the deployment to the dev environment and the promotion to the prod environment once everything checks out. So this gives you an idea of how Cloud Build can automate deployments and make things a lot easier. All right, that's our discussion of cross-project deployment.